Nevada State Bank's financial planners are filling us in on the concepts of anchoring and status quo bias in financial decision making. Here's the information.
So status quo bias is the tendency that we have to resist change, even if that change might be good for us. So for example, you might have a real estate agent or a CPA who you've had for quite some time, and even though they're not meeting your expectations, you tend to stick with them because they're familiar to you and you just don't want to switch. Or maybe you're the type of person who, whenever you go out to eat, you order the same thing every time, because if you try something new, you may not like it and it's just not worth the risk. So in essence, status quo bias is maintaining the status quo. So status quo bias affects our financial decision making in a number of ways. So for example, you might have a position in your portfolio that you've had for quite some time, and maybe it's time to move on and sell it and buy something else, but because you've had it for so long, you're kind of attached to it, so you really don't want to sell it. Or for example, maybe you've inherited an asset like a stock or a piece of property from a deceased relative, and rather than sell it and use the cash to buy something else, you hang on to it because, again, you're attached to it. I always tell clients to ask yourself this: if I had this much money in cash today, would I use it to buy that asset? Every day that you don't sell an asset is a day that you've decided to buy it. So the best way that I've seen to combat this bias, or any other bias for that matter, is just to have another set of eyes in the room. You know, as financial advisors, it's not just about what stocks should I buy or when should I retire, but it's about putting somebody else on your side and giving a different perspective to your situation to help you make better decisions with your money.
Anchoring is a behavioral bias that marketers have used on consumers to influence them for years. When studies have been done on anchoring, researchers showed that subjects were exposed to a higher number first, they valued that item at a higher price point, and vice versa. Effectively, you can be convinced to pay more for something without even realizing it. If you've ever walked into a store and you've seen a price tag that says $59.99 and then a sale price underneath it for $39.99, that's drawn to anchor you to the higher price point so that the sales price seems like it's a great value. So many clients out there have made an investment that at some point in time is worth less than they originally paid. And so oftentimes they will want to get out of that investment with the caveat that it returns to its original value first. This would be because they are anchored to that original purchase price. So this bias may inhibit you from actually investing in something that would perform better over the years while waiting for it to return to its original value, which actually may never happen. Some clients have fond memories of the good old days when there were much higher interest rates in the economy.